Hello guys, welcome back to the channel. The WNBA just keeps finding new ways to create controversy, and honestly, it feels like there is no ceiling anymore. Every time you think things are finally settling down, another debate erupts, and this latest situation involving Alyssa Thomas and Caitlyn Clark is a perfect example. I want to show you a clip in a moment because I think it brings an interesting perspective. It gives us a chance to take a step back and hear from professional athletes who understand competition, physical play, and where the line should actually be drawn. Before we get there, though, I want to point out something that has been happening ever since the incident. The reaction from certain people has been remarkably predictable. Instead of focusing on what happened during the game, we're already seeing attempts to paint Alyssa Thomas as the victim. We've watched this pattern before. Someone crosses the line, faces criticism, and suddenly the conversation shifts away from the action itself towards sympathy for the person receiving the backlash. It reminds a lot of people of the discussions surrounding Angel Reese last season. Whether you agree or disagree, fans have noticed the same cycle repeating itself over and over again. That's why so many people are frustrated with the way this entire story is unfolding. Now, let's remember exactly what happened. Alyssa Thomas committed a play that resulted in a flagrant 2 after the league reviewed it. During the game, however, she wasn't ejected when many believed she should have been. Instead, the decision came afterward, leading to a 1-game suspension. That's ultimately the punishment she received because the officials failed to make the correct call in real time. Had the referees enforced the rules immediately, the entire outcome of that game could look very different. Many Indiana Fever fans believe the momentum would have completely shifted in Caitlyn Clark's favor. Instead, the officials missed the opportunity to control the situation while it was actually happening, leaving the league to clean everything up after the fact. Now, take a look at the response online. You would think Alyssa Thomas had received some unbelievable punishment instead of a 1-game suspension. That's what makes this reaction so surprising to many fans. DeWanna Bonner even posted on Instagram, "Forever got your front and your back. We love you." That message quickly became part of the conversation, with supporters rallying around Alyssa Thomas while critics questioning whether anyone was acknowledging what happened to Caitlyn Clark in the first place. Then things became even interesting when the official Phoenix Mercury Twitter account, now known as X, posted content supporting Alyssa Thomas. The post didn't stay up very long. After facing significant backlash from fans, it was eventually deleted. But deleting it doesn't erase the fact that it was published in the first place. That decision tells you quite a bit about the current atmosphere surrounding the WNBA. For an official Phoenix Mercury team account to believe that kind of message was appropriate says something about how some organizations are viewing this entire controversy. Whether you agree with that perspective or not, fans certainly noticed it. And it wasn't just the official account. Other people connected to the Phoenix Mercury made comments similar to what DeWanna Bonner shared, continuing to express support for Alyssa Thomas, while many fans argued the focus should have remained on the original incident involving Caitlyn Clark. That's why this story refuses to disappear. It's no longer just about one play. It's about the reactions afterward, the public messaging, and why so many people believe the conversation has shifted toward portraying Alyssa Thomas as the victim instead of keeping the spotlight on what actually happened during the game. And before we get into what Shannon Sharpe had to say, it's important to understand why so many fans are still talking about it. Now, look at this. Then we had this as well. Justice Collins, women's basketball commentary, unbiased and unbothered live show, said, "With the AT play last night, I see a lot of people saying, 'Who gets up with closed fists?' Well, probably somebody who has no labrums in both arms. An open hand push bends the wrist back, forcing the shoulder socket to absorb a massive rotating load, which can cause pinching or dislocation without labrum cartilage. By using closed fists, AT locks her wrists straight. This bypasses the unstable shoulder mechanics, shifting the load to her triceps and chest instead of her damaged joints." And, of course, that post ended up getting hit with the community note. A lot of people immediately pointed out that the explanation simply didn't make sense. Plenty of users tried telling Justice that this probably wasn't the strongest argument to make. But instead of reconsidering the point, she continued doubling down every time someone challenged it. Then, Livewire sports media jumped into the discussion with a response that quickly gained attention. The argument was pretty straightforward. If someone truly has severe limitations because of missing labrums, then they probably shouldn't be diving on the floor for loose balls in the first place. More importantly, they argued that using another player's neck to help yourself get off the floor simply isn't acceptable regardless of the explanation. Justice continued defending her position, saying people kept asking why AT got up with closed fists and that everything else being brought up was irrelevant to her original post. She insisted she was only explaining why someone without labrums might avoid pushing off the floor with an open hand. She even encouraged everyone to Google whether torn labrums affect the way someone gets up. The problem is that many people did exactly that and still disagreed. Others, including people who claim to have firsthand experience with the injury and those who work with athletes, called the explanation complete nonsense. Even after more questions about AT and labrum surgery surfaced, Justice refused to back away from her argument, leaving many viewers frustrated by what they saw as an arrogant refusal to admit she might simply be wrong.
Now here is AT getting up, and look how she does it. Yeah, right on her hands like a normal person, right? So this is the type of stuff that we get. People bending over backwards because it is Caitlyn Clark to excuse and dismiss what is going on, what is being done to her. So now let's get to the key element here. First, we got Lisa Leslie. Then we got Shannon Sharpe, Chad, and apologies, my man, I'm not sure who the third guy is. Although, shout out, I appreciate him wearing the World Cup stuff. Thank you.
All right, ladies, your thoughts just as the league continues to work through what many perceive as consistency issues, especially when it comes to games being officiated, Lisa.
Well, officiating is tough. I don't know if anybody's ever even tried to officiate. It's not the easiest game. It's one of the most thankless jobs you can do. But in this particular situation, I thought that the last official should have been able to catch that. I was actually watching this game, and I was like, oh, wow, that was a bit much. So in that moment, I thought that the official missed the call. I'm not surprised that the league went back and fined Alyssa Thomas. But I think at the same time, it's tough to think that official would have missed that they didn't have a replay on it. That was tough to me. And I think overall, the league's got to do better. The officials have got to do better, but also players. Players have to clean it up. We used to play in a way that you protected one another. Yeah, I want to play physical. I want to play hard, but I'm not out here trying to hurt you. If I was out there for a loose ball and it was Renee down there, yeah, I'm going for the ball, but if I accidentally punched Renee or hit her in some kind of way, maybe the play goes on, but I help her up. I help her up, you know what I mean? Just out of the like, dang, my bad. So I think that part is important too, the reaction. Maybe if Alyssa Thomas would have even turned like, dang, my bad, I didn't mean to hit you like that. It's a different thing, but that's not what happened. And so I think that the league got it right. But I think overall, Coach Tibbetts is correct. Everything, consistency is important. It needs to be cleaned up for all players, regardless of what their accolades are. None of that part matters. It matters about protecting these players, no matter which team, which position, when they sub in, the start of the game to the end of the game. Every player deserves the same type of protection.
Alyssa Thomas has received a flagrant 2 and a 1-game suspension for her reckless making contact with her fist to the throat of Caitlyn Collins in the WNBA announced today. The incident for which Thomas was deemed to have committed a non-basketball act occurred in the Mercury's 111-109 win over the Fever on Wednesday. Joe.
She got a little extra in there. She put a little extra in there.
Even if you say intent, because intent only matters to the individual committing the act.
Right.
Caitlyn Clark's throat is still hurting, whether she intended to do it or not. But this is how you know. Let me ask you a question. We've all fallen at some point in time. Who falls on their fist? You spread your hands. You try to brace it. Ocho, you don't even try to fall like that. Even if you're a Mercury fan, even if you're a Alyssa Thomas fan, physics teaches us nobody falls like that.
No, not on your knuckles. Your breaks up, man.
Hey, first off, Alyssa Thomas, she tough. She tough as a wood nickel. You hear me? Yeah, she tough as a wood nickel. So she put a little extra on.
She did.
Yeah, she put a little extra on. Yeah,
well,
she did.
Remember she got Angel Reese last year around the neck.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, what we talk about? Lay low and play slow. Oh, I ain't mean to. My bad. I ain't trying to put I ain't trying to put these knuckles in your neck. My bad. Let me. You know what I mean?
So I have no problem them upgrading this to a flagrant and suspending her because of the history that we've seen. We've seen acts that are not basketball related. That is not a basketball related act, what she did.
What Lisa Leslie said really stood out because honestly, some of the reactions from current and former players defending AT have been hard to understand. A lot of people are acting like nothing unusual happened. But imagine if AT had put her hands on them and then stepped over them the way she did Caitlyn Clark. Does anyone seriously believe they would have just laughed it off? Most of them would have been furious. That's why so many fans feel like the standards suddenly change depending on who the player is. And then the boys were cooking. I've also seen plenty of people trying to defend Alyssa Thomas by bringing up Angel Reese. They keep asking, well, what about what Alyssa Thomas did to Angel Reese? But that's actually proving the point instead of disproving it. When Alyssa Thomas committed that play against Angel Reese, the officials immediately called a flagrant 2, and she was thrown out of the game. I agreed with that decision then, and I still agree with it now. The officials enforced the rules, the punishment happened on the spot, and everyone moved on. There wasn't much to debate because the situation was handled correctly. The problem with the Caitlyn Clark play is completely different. The referee was standing there looking directly at the contact and didn't even call a regular foul. There wasn't a flagrant 1, there wasn't a flagrant 2, there wasn't even an ordinary whistle for the play. Only after the game was reviewed did Alyssa Thomas receive a flagrant 2 and a suspension. That's why people remain upset. They're asking why the standard changes when Caitlyn Clark is involved. And here's something else that people noticed. There were clips circulating showing AT getting up from the floor using a completely normal push-up motion with her hands. That immediately challenged the argument that she had no choice but to rise the way she did in the Caitlyn Clark incident. Anyone who has competed in sports understands these little moments. They happen quickly, but experienced players recognize them. If you remove the emotions, remove the fan bases, and simply watch the sequence, many people believe the action speaks for itself. Some will argue that intent can't be proven, but athletes often say they know exactly what these situations look like because they've lived them themselves. Ask former football players what happens at the bottom of a pile after a fumble or a tackle. They'll tell you plenty of things happen that cameras don't always catch. That's why so many players believe actions like these are rarely accidental. Now the conversation is shifting towards something else entirely. Instead of focusing on what Alyssa Thomas did to Caitlyn Clark, attention is being redirected toward the fans reacting to it. With comments from Dewana Bonner and others, many believe the narrative is changing from discussing the play itself to portraying Alyssa Thomas as the victim of public criticism. At the end of the day, most fans are asking for one simple thing: consistent officiating. If Alyssa Thomas had been called for a flagrant 2 immediately and ejected during the game, this controversy probably wouldn't have reached this level. That's the issue people continue to come back to. Anyway, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss the next video.